wa. Baba mi. Eshu. Wa eshu. Wa eshu.
Peace. Peace, everyone. Here we are again with another segment of Community. And I am Chief Yuya, filling in on this evening for Sister Kim. And I just want to welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to the segment. Welcome everyone to the show, and welcome everyone to our new nation. It's been a very interesting day today. You know, today has been filled with a lot of, from early on, you know, has been filled with a lot of messages, a lot of changes, a lot of transitions, and it's just been such an interesting time right now. I tell you, such an interesting time. And you have a lot of people coming in and people going out. And I'm speaking about the science of death, transformation. You know, today has been a day of that. So a lot of hospital time today has been put in for me. But yeah, I just want to welcome you all to this experience. And I know Kim is here as well. She may be in and out. I'm going to hold down the anchor leg, and then she's also here. Are you on, Kim? Okay. I heard something in the background from Kim, but I didn't hear her voice. But so yeah, community. This is an opportunity for you all to share, to open up, to build, to express, to rant, to rave. I'm not going to do teaching, and I'm not going to answer any questions. Okay, that's kind of what I was trying to say in our last segment, but I fell back into my pattern, and people were asking questions, and I was answering them. But I'm going to leave this time for the community to build and for the community to share and to enjoy themselves amongst the ecstatic energy that is present right now in this great season of healing, because it's such a season of clarification and healing right now. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's so many things that are coming to light. And even, you know, we spoke about last, the 2016 Gregorian with all of the different internet disagreements that were going on amongst the supposed teachers. And it's not stopping. It's still going. You know, you still have some of that going on. And, you know, there's a lot of ego at play here. But, you know, truth be told, a lot of times it's very easy to sit back and say, man, I wish these two would just get it together and learn to work together for the good of our people. But trust me, a lot of the friction back and forth is necessary because some people are not who they say they are. And sometimes they have to be purged and exercised out of the system. They have to be called out. They have to be exposed for what they are. So, I know a lot of times and that's always the danger of arguing with the fool, because from a distance it looks like two fools arguing. But when you get up closer, sometimes you realize that's not what's happening. Sometimes people are being moved out the way or corrected, or they're just being exposed for what they really are. So if some of you have been, I don't say keeping up with it, almost like it's entertainment. I guess for some it is. But if some of you have been keeping up with the drama, you see it's taken on another leg with one of the same individuals, but now with another brother. And again, a lot of times, sometimes people keep these things going because they're grasping for relevancy, and they know that our people love drama. We love drama more than anything else. So as long as I can keep drama in your face, I can stay relevant. So whether it's the drama that I am supposing and fabricating that exists around me, or if it's the drama of the conspiracy theories of what they're going to do next, and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. No matter what, it's just drama, and some people love to stay in the midst of it and to stay surrounded by it. So this is a season for that. Like I said, it's a season for clarification, for bringing things out. Kim, I can hear you there in the background, by the way.
Okay. Peace, everybody. Yeah, I didn't know that situation was still going on. I don't keep up with it or anything, but I don't know. You said once before that most of the time people tune into I guess self-proclaimed teachers like that anyway for entertainment. So I guess they're just, keeping it up, staying in the same role of being an entertainer.
Yeah.
They know all that was still going on.
Well, it's shifted to another person, but sometimes what happens is that people forget who they are. So it's like if you've been doing that for a long time, you're a false teacher. You're a false prophet. It's no doubt about it. And it's sometimes, but see, even as a phony, you know who to do what with and who to chill with. And sometimes people lose sight of that and they go after the wrong one. Now, in this instance, the person went after the wrong one because some of the conflict with the original two, I mean, this is the nighttime edition, so we can be more frank, but you're talking about two phonies and two misinformed phonies. A lot of times, because again, if people don't study, they don't realize how unlearned other people are sometimes. They don't know half as much as you might think they do. But there's certain words that you can say, and there's certain ways that you can infer deep intellect, even when it doesn't exist. Like I could say something like, there were many different societies that existed before Kemet. I mean, obviously we know that there was the Ethiopian and the Kushite societies, but there were societies that existed even before the separation of the land masses. But I'm not even going to get into all that right now because that'll take us down a whole nother road. Let's talk about what Trump is doing. Now you see, that's a slick mind control way to infer that I have more intellect than I probably do. So I'm making you think that I could go down that road, which I probably can. You see, and if you listen, a lot of people do stuff like that. And if you got to have ears to hear it. If you have ears to hear it, then you BSing. You don't know anything. So sometimes what happens is though people do that so much that they forget that they're unlearned and they haven't really put the scholarship in, and they start to believe their own hype. And that's the time when the ancestors orchestrate a purging, they orchestrate a cleansing. And sometimes we're that person. Sometimes we're studying and we're learning and we start to believe our own hype. And the ancestors will orchestrate a mirror. All they need is a mirror. That's it. And the mirror will be put in front of you so you can really see what you're reflecting out into the world versus what you know you're reflecting inward. Because what you're reflecting inward is always going to be a product of what it is that you truly desire, what your true intentions are. So sometimes it's orchestrated in that way where you get to look in the mirror and see the contradictions. I mean, we're talking about this month's topic in that. And there's some purgings that have happened, in certain groups and among certain people. And all it means is that now people have to stop being so dependent on the false teachers, and they have to put the work in themselves, and if you're looking for entertainment, that's always going to be there for you. But like I've often said, when your education becomes your entertainment, you're in trouble. You're going to have problems. And some of the ancestors are more militant than others. Not all of the ancestors are benevolent spirits floating in the sky, trickling down $20 bills that you can find on the side of the street as you're walking to the store. Some of them are militant, and they're going to have that spirit of militancy and that spirit of correction. And when they see the tomfoolery, they're the ones who are going to orchestrate the exposing of what it really is. You see, so it's an interesting time. A lot of things are being revealed and pulled back, and people are being given opportunities to decide how they really want to move and how they really want to function, So it's a good time. How was the Women's Call Monday?
It was good, actually. We talked a lot about addictions and sometimes how we make excuses for our addictions when we come into spirituality. Specifically, the topic of using marijuana came up. So, we kind of talked about that a little bit, because sometimes I know that people can, as soon as they get into spirituality, immediately they try to find a reason within the spirituality to continue to abuse marijuana or to use any other type of drug. So that was an interesting talk. And then we had a different host on Monday. So I thought it was good for me because it gave me a chance and gave other people a chance to see that sometimes the work that I do on the shows or the calls or even the work that you do is not as easy as it seems. To finally, put someone else in the driver's seat, they have that opportunity to realize some things, and then the people listening, have an opportunity to do it too. So our host did a good job, but she even admitted she was kind of nervous about it, didn't have a lot to say.
Who hosted?
Karen.
Yeah. Oh, Karen. Okay. Mm-hmm. Young Karen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So at times, it, like I said, I think it's a good opportunity to give everybody a chance, to rotate who facilitates the call, just so people, I think it gives everybody a chance to appreciate things a little bit more than to just kind of always be on the sidelines, like you said, watching the monkey dance, right. Watching the person entertain or be the performer all the time. Even with these shows, sometimes, I kind of, you kind of feel that way sometimes. So even the past couple of community shows, people have been calling in and sharing because, I've been asking, let us know how the things are working. Because so often, even with the customer service, when you're helping somebody, they'll report the problem, and then when I'm working on it or something, they don't give you any feedback afterwards to let us know, hey, it's okay, it's working, it's not working, so sometimes it's just good for everybody to kind of get a chance to peek behind the curtain a little bit, or to get a chance to be in the driver's seat. It's just good for everybody.
It also gives people an opportunity to determine if what part of this work they really want to do, because a lot of times when you come into spirituality, especially if you're dealing with elders, oftentimes you're immediately propelled into a space where you're told that you're supposed to serve. So of course, when you talk to people, that's there. Well, I'm here to help. I'm here to help. And not everyone is qualified to help. Not everyone is going to be good enough at any one thing where they can actually help another person beyond getting themselves in place. And sometimes getting yourself in place is to help, because that gives us one less person to be bothered by on the planet, when you get yourself in step. So a lot of times it's good too, because I've had, I always put people in position to do things. And that was one of the reasons why I told you to start doing that, to create that rotating schedule. And in fact, I also shared the same with Brother Charles. So we're creating a schedule in the men's group as well for different brothers to facilitate, because, a lot of times after you do that, you may decide, I don't have a heart for this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to help. I just want to receive. And that's a part of the process. Receiving is one half of that cycle, but it gives you a time when the stakes are low to determine where your heart really is at in terms of helping others. Obviously, doing this work takes an extreme amount of patience, an extreme amount, because most of the people that you're working with are really dysfunctional. And we want to believe that the best of our people gravitate towards African spirituality, but that's not necessarily true. Like I've often said, that many people who gravitate towards these understandings are those who couldn't make it in the greater society. So they're trying to shape and find something where they can duck and dodge from the rules, or from any rules, or from any culture, and they want to just be many people got excited, like when I did that show on self-initiation. And they say, well, yeah, I'm self-initiated, I'm self-taught. But then they turn around and ask me a bunch of questions. That means you're not self-taught. It just means that you're ungrateful. That's all. That people have been helping you, you just haven't been acknowledging them. Or when it comes down to them really telling you what needs to be done, that's when you move to the next person and ask another question. That's your idea of being self-taught. So when different people are facilitating like that, it gives them an opportunity to just get a little bit of taste of it, to see what it feels like to work with people, to have to deal with some of the dysfunction, to explain something clearly and have a person still pretend like they didn't understand what you were saying, or not listen to what you're saying. All those different things that you go through, that you may decide, nah, this isn't where I'm going to shine. This is not really where my spirit lends to. And it doesn't mean you might not do something, but you may say, I'm not really one to be working with the people. Maybe I'll do something else that can be a support, or maybe I'll just cultivate an idea that I have for me and my family. So it's always good to get those practice runs in a formalized environment, also where you're going to get the feedback from the elders who are around you, who might say, listen, you might want to work on your tone. The way you spoke to them, it wasn't really that good, or maybe you weren't listening to the people when they were talking, or you were talking too fast, or maybe you were talking too slow, or whatever it is, you get that immediate feedback, and that helps you with your spiritual work too, because it teaches you a greater degree of sensitivity. So much of this is about sensitivity. And when you have that sense of sensitivity, then it makes you more sensitive to the vital and subtle movements of spirit as well. You can't be hard-headed and work with spirits. It doesn't work. You might think you work with spirits, but you're really just working with your own thoughts. But a hard-headed, stubborn person doesn't even touch the spiritual environment. They think they do, though, but they're not. So it takes that strong yin energy, or that kun, in order to really connect with that, with those subtle movements, those subtle vibrations. Like I said in this segment, I'm not really going to do too much teaching. I know I already started a little bit, but I kind of can't help it. That's my world. So when you go into a world of an archetype, pretty much everything they do is going to embody what their purpose and calling is. So I pretty much never have moments when I'm not teaching, but we're going to open up the court, and like I called it last time, the royal court, because that's the behavior we're expecting when people are calling in. And I meant to ask you, Kim, did you delete that lady's comment, or did she delete it herself? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
The one who was like, you was talking about me on the show when I asked about male-female relationships. You shouldn't have assumed. She went off. It was disrespectful. Oh, I guess she deleted herself. That was good of her. Yeah, she deleted it. It was real rude. She left a comment on the video, and before I could even get a second, I read it, but before I got a second look at it, it was deleted. So
which show was it?
I think it was the one. Remember when the sister called in and was like, all these books are good, but there's no books. She's not getting enough information about relationships. And the basics.
Okay.
And then that Sunday, I think it was that Sunday, or one of the shows I covered for you, I spoke about that. I gave some guides, some tips and some pointers, and I also advised anyone who's also felt the same way to go back through the archives, because I've done a lot of shows on it. Well, she went off.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, she went off. And she wrote some very rude things, but and I didn't say anything rude, but that's just, sometimes people respond nasty even when you're not nasty. But I guess she deleted it right away, which was good of her. Okay. So I give her those points. But I thought you might have deleted it. I meant to ask you, but I completely forgot to ask you. But that's a part of the work too. Sometimes you say something to a person, or you'll be helping. I did that show helping, saying, okay, well, let me give you some pointers, and a person will take it completely the wrong way, and partly a lot of times it's because of what's going on in their head. That's why I always warn y'all about arguing with people on the internet, because you don't know what's going on in their mind. You don't know what kind of day they had. And sometimes you speaking over people's head. Sometimes we make an assumption on the intelligence level of the people we're speaking to. And there's so many different things that would cause a person to respond in the wrong way. So that's a part of the work too. You might volunteer for a ministry and help and teach a class and something, and then people will start to resent you. Just cause. Meanwhile, you busting your behind to help and to be an assist to the community, and they're over here not liking you for whatever dumb reason they want to come up with today. It's the Willie Lynchism is in full effect too. But it's a lot more to it. I'm glad Karen had that experience, because I don't think she's called in on any shows, anything like that, right?
No, I don't think she has.
She plays the background.
Yeah, and it was an interesting experience, and not just with Karen. I want to just put everything on Karen. All the times that we have rotated things. Sometimes myself or Sister Taya find ourselves stepping in because the conversation is not directed, or like the facilitator is not, really directing anything, or even had like a topic or anything. So it's just hours and hours of
rambling.
Just rambling, exactly. And so that was one of the things that we wanted to clear up, even in the women's group, that Sister Taya was going to put out, is that, people don't realize, even for these shows, they seem very spontaneous maybe sometimes, or even the women's call, but people take time out to actually prepare something to say. It's not just, it's not as easy as it looks. So, instead of just getting on and saying, okay, does anybody have any issues or any problems? Like, that's kind of how it's been going. And even when I was doing the calls, it's like, no, we actually prepare something ahead of time. So it's not just 3 or 4 hours of just whatever. So
well, y'all
I think,
calling supposed to be 3 or 4 hours anyway. That's just y'all
right.
being over talkative.
But That's just how it's been because, there has been no direction. So I've had to, myself or Taya sometimes have to step in and kind of say, wait a minute. Where's this going? This is, or just to redirect it. But again, it's just good because people get to see like this is not as easy as it looks. People do take time out to prepare for things. And I hope that it's appreciated more when they finally go through that experience, that they see that it's not as easy. You should prepare before you get on. And, willingly, they'll see that,
Some will, many won't, because that's just what it is. Many will drop off as a result,
Yeah.
And I'm not speaking about Karen per se. I like Karen because Karen, she got a
Karen is cool.
Yeah, she seems to have a good spirit, and she just seems that I don't know if I've even spoken to her, but she always comments and things like that. But she seems like a good spirit. But people drop like flies all the time from this work, and it's so much, like I mentioned in one show, goes on behind the scenes. You guys would be shocked how much people flake out whenever they're asked to finally do something. They come up with all the excuses in the world, things that didn't exist. As soon as you say, hey, it could be the smallest thing too. Hey, I got some flyers we printed up for our event. Can you leave them at the desk on your job? Next thing you know, they want to quit. Yeah, well, I was thinking I'm gonna quit on you. This is just too much for me, and and that's when you start to realize that the nature of what people come. Not everybody's interested in community building, and it's not necessarily their fault. It's a lot of times it's the fault of the medium, because if they're not used to seeing that or experiencing that type of phenomenon through a digital medium, they're looking at you like, well, what is this? Like, it's not like it's a church and we're walking into a church building and, this is on the internet, and on the internet, you're supposed to give me free information. That's pretty much where that begins and ends. So, and then some of these words are almost outdated when you're talking about nation building and community building. That hasn't been the focus of the liberation movement for many years, because the original Black liberation movement got transitioned into the conscious community. So within the conscious community, all we do is talk. That's it. That's as far as anything goes. And for the most part, the things that we speak about are not even inspired. In the conscious community, you're just supposed to speak about what your overlords are doing. So you're going to talk about let me break down the Super Bowl, the Patriots. Yeah, you got to see what that, Trump is in office and now the Patriots. And, so you got to do them stupid little breakdowns, which is, come on, we're going to do that every year now. You got to break down with Obama, what he's doing now. He's hanging out with Richard Branson, and skydiving, and we gotta break that down. So you basically become a reporter, and there's a significant piece to that, because especially for these male quote unquote teachers, women are the problem reporters. So what are you doing? If you're just sitting here reporting what another man is doing, you're like a he bitch. This is nighttime, so I can say it. You're basically a he bitch. So you start to see really the distortions. I know there's a call. Let me bring this call in. It's Dietrich. We're hanging in there. How you hanging in there, brother?
Hey, we were just listening to the conversation. My question sounds kind of stupid based on what y'all was talking about. Boy, do it.
Agbo Ato.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to hear from you. It's good to hear from you. I wanted to give thanks for the shows this past week from both of y'all, because it's been so crazy. Because I listened to a program. I don't know if it was even in order, but I was listening to the podcast, and you was doing a show, and you was talking about we got to take better care of our elders. So that day, and I want to say it was Monday. You had said that I have an elder here, and he's pushing 90, but he in his 80s, but he pushing 90, and like we just be showing me a lot. He was the first one who actually let me know what the voice of a Orisha sound like. So like I for so I say whenever I do something, I always call him, make sure he's good. Just like I took him to the Super Bowl, had him around some Ocarine, let him drink a little bit, just showing him a good time. So
yeah,
you had did the show about make sure you take care of your elders because they gave up a lot. So just let them know they appreciate it. So I went and got him, and I took him to my Baba Losha's house, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I can't wait to see Baba Yellow." So like we was really just going over there to eat. But to make a long story short, he dropped so much knowledge on me in one day. I really haven't slept in the past 3 days. Like they took me to energy portals. He took me to energy portals. He told me how serious, how serious the work in Africa is. What we're really up against. How what's really going on in certain quote unquote African villages in the United States. He talked about how they got a new television show called Humans with an upside down A, and it's talking about the blue-eyed people.
Okay.
He was telling me the significance of that because he was talking about the blue and the black-eyed people that he dealt with. He was telling me about what the movie, the new movie called Get Out, what that's really about.
Okay.
And like he was just dropping it on me. He was like, "Yeah, man." And I was like, because when he was telling me about the different leaders and stuff, he was telling me about the real Black Panthers and how there was a lot of Black Panther women who set them up. He was telling me about Bunchy Carter because his dad ran with them in Cleveland. So I was like, man, by the time he was done with me, he had exposed so much knowledge on me. I was like, you know what, Baba? You know how I feel? I feel like when I went to when Riley went to go see Gangstalicious in the hospital, and he found out he was short and gay. I was like, oh, that's how I feel.
The truth, he was confronted with the truth.
Yeah, he was like, just going to heaven and finding out God smoking crack. That's how I felt. But yeah, like it's a lot of energy portals open. And I think we was talking about that. Was that Tuesday? About the Jupiter. Like it's a lot of those portals open up, and my Baba was actually showing them to me where like people were sending entities out of these portals to eat his elbows, and he hurt them, and it was bite marks out his elbows and stuff. But yeah, so like when you were saying that, I'm like, yeah, a lot of these people are going to get exposed for what they are, and people who are already on the level already know.
Right. Exactly. And that's why it's kind of a glorious day, because when you're on the level, you don't speak to it. Again, and I've mentioned this before on this show, you guys don't hear me recommend too many people. I recommend the same people over and over again. The ones, and half the people I'm like, yeah, check this one, I'll check it. Half of them are dead. Matter of fact, 75% of them are dead. You guys heard me talk about John Mason. You've heard me talk about Amos Wilson, Ashard Hilliard. These are all the old jacks. Walima Baruti. If you notice, I haven't mentioned too many people after that. Shahrazad, I mentioned. 95% of these jokers out here are jokes. And as a leader, I never want my movement to be built upon allegations and drama, because movements like that don't last. So I tend not to, and like I said, I don't speak about my people in public. Now you come over the house, you're gonna hear some stuff. I'll show you some pictures, everything. Because I know people's stuff. I'm the keeper of secrets. That's what the Babalawo is. But so the thing is, it is a glorious day because in many senses, it is upsetting.
Chief, you're breaking up.
Okay. Me? Well, tell me if I come back. Yeah, I'm here. Tell me when I come back.
You're back.
Still broken? Okay. But I was just saying, as a leader and a teacher, it's a hurtful thing when you are committed. You have committed yourself to helping people, and you see people purposely leading them astray and damaging the progress, and you're seeing, okay, if we just do A, B, C, and D, and if we keep moving without interruption, we'll make it to E without a shadow of a doubt. Then somebody comes along and imposters themselves as being point E. And it's like a zombie movie. You know, it's like, hey, over here, you know, you make some noise and the whole zombie herd turns that way. You know, and that's really what it's like. It's because people are not thinking for themselves. And that's what sometimes I'm sitting back like, are you kidding me? Y'all don't see this? Like, how do you not see this? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like one time when you were speaking, Dietrich, and you were speaking about sometimes you're around a certain type of person and you're like, I can see the BITCH in you. I see it. Like, don't come here trying to act like you're something that you're not. You know, and if it comes down to it, I'll break your jaw and show you. I'll remind you of what you really are. You know, but as a leader, you can't really, you know, I don't want to get up here and say, listen, let me tell you who's fake. This one's fake. That one's fake. That one snorts crack, snorts coke. That one smokes crack. You know, you don't want to get into all of that type of stuff like that because that's corny. But it is saddening a lot of times when you see people going in wrong directions. And it's not necessarily just sad because you feel sad for the people. It's sad because it causes you to question what you're doing. You know, so if I'm teaching, and then some phony pops up, and everybody says, yeah, sister so-and-so or brother so-and-so is the truth, then the sad part is like you look at yourself and say, wait a minute, I haven't really been teaching. Yeah, well, you saying I'm not teaching. Yeah. You know, you thought you were teaching, but you weren't teaching. You see, that's one of the reasons why I changed the format from all the Orisha talk and started talking about psychology. Because people are not even ready for the Orisha. They're not even ready for that yet. Because even back home, when you're introduced to the Orisha energy, it's easier to do it with a young child because they're growing up in a functional, sane environment. So when you ignore that fact here and you just go straight to the Orisha, you're ignoring now you just initiated a psychopath. You didn't deal with that first. You're forgetting we're in America. We're in North America. You know what I mean? This is the hellhole of the world. So you can't do things like you would normally want to do them. So that means your teaching even has to be different. So the way I was taught back home, you know, when I was initiated and taught is different than how I have to teach you guys. That's why I got to break things down more. There's online classes, there's shows, there's mixtapes. I ain't get no mixtape, none of that stuff. You know what I mean? I didn't get none of that. But I got so much just from being in the environment. You know, like I always share, when I used to go to the compounds at night, because everybody used to like to hear me talk. You know, they just love to hear me talk because they used to like back then, you know, now we talking about a time before like, and a lot of people still don't have them out there, but like satellite TV, definitely no YouTube, no stuff like that. You know, so it was really the world was much bigger. So you go to Nigeria, it was really a huge disconnect because there wasn't no going to an internet cafe and watching an American video or so. There was none of that. So you got to know about America when people came in and told you about America. So at night, I would go to the compound and just want to hear about what's New York like. And, you know, it always fascinated them that we built our buildings so high, you know, and that was always like a tragedy for them. Like because they would say that we have to build buildings like that because we run out of space. So then we have to live on top of each other, which I mean is true. But they used to think that the buildings were already built 2-story. And then people would have children and we'd run out of space. So then we would put another story on top of it. And then when we ran out of space, we put another story on top of that. And we just keep going way up into the air. They didn't understand that the buildings were designed like that from the beginning, you know. So they would say, yeah, it's so sad over there. You have to build, you know, another story on top of the buildings. But, you know, one of the instructions I got that opened my mind up to Ifa in a certain way is at night, man, the women take their breast out. You know, you sitting there with everybody. Like, be 6, 7 women around because it's hot and everything, and they unfold that flap on their fabric, and you just looking at knockers, and you just got to keep talking, like, because they're not sexualized like the same way we sexualize breasts, right? So that was part of my instruction, because obviously that opens up different portals in the mind. Now we don't have that here. Breasts, are sexualized. So we have to deal with that, and then we deal with EFI and everything else. So there's so much in the culture that's off, that as a teacher, like I said, when you see people being led astray like that, you got to point a finger at yourself, and you got to say, wait a minute, maybe I missed some things here, because I thought they were woke, but they still sleep. I've been sitting here talking to zombies all this time, and you might have been charging them. You might have been charging for your lectures. I've been charging them, and I ain't even teach them what they really needed to know. So yeah, it gets deep. It gets deep.
You're right. You're right.
I'm gonna bring some more people into this forum. You can keep building on it, but I'm gonna bring more people in. 561, you're on community.
Hello?
Yeah. Peace.
Greetings.
Oh, sorry.
Greetings or hello? Which one?
Hello. Greetings.
Greetings.
Which one?
Greetings.
Pick one.
Greetings.
Is greetings? Okay,
Yes.
all right.
All right. So greetings, Steve. Greetings, Sister Kim. I was calling in to share, because you said, call in and share.
Sure.
I'm young to this process. My name is Trish. And I set up an altar and had some cool experiences. So I just wanted to share my experiences. So I did an ancestral altar. I bought the book and set it up. And both me and my husband have been working with the altar and with our kids.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband's grandfather, my grandfather dreamed my husband and told him a name, Ganesh. Well, that's what we thought it was. So we thought, okay, well, it must be, the deity. So we started searching everything we could find on Ganesh in the Hindi pantheon. Then his grandfather dreamed me and told me where a copy of his picture was in the house. And when I went and looked, it was exactly where, it was in my dream. So I took it out, put it on the altar, and let's see what else happened. Well, the third thing that happened was that, for us, it's really cool because we're new into the process, so we're still excited.
No, it's cool. It's cool all around. Yeah, trust me. People listening are saying, "Oh, trust me, it's cool all around."
Yeah. So buy the book. Buy the book. It was helpful. What else? The next thing that happened was that I started a family search through. I'm one of the archive students, so listening to all the shows and bouncing back between the old ones and new ones. I started to do a family tree, which is hard because we're Jamaican ancestry, and there's lots of fathers that are non-existent, and all sorts of stuff. But only to find out that 3 generations down, my husband's side, his ancestor's name is Ganesh. So when yeah, exactly. So that was exciting. And for me, my father, in the ancestry thing that we looked up, he never knew his father's real name because my grandmother had my father with a married man. And so my father grew up being told that his father was the son above. But I found my father's name, and I got a chance to call him and tell him. And, Jamaican men don't really cry per se, but you know, I could hear it. I could hear it in his voice, and he had to hang up. So I knew. So for us, it was huge, and for me, it was great. And then from finding him, I could go back several generations. So for me, I got my side, on my father's side, 5 generations back, 3 generations on my husband's side. So it's exciting so far. So the altar worked. It worked pretty good. I'm going to get a cat, because in the book it said cats will help you to maintain the altars. I don't know how. I'm going to figure it out. So I'm not asking, but I'm going to figure it out. So I'm going to get a cat. I thought that was the only part in the book. I'm like, oh, okay, how does that work? But I'm going to figure it out. So I'm going to get a cat. And what else? The last thing is that I did something outside also.
Okay.
We had a dog that we've had for 16 years. And unfortunately, she passed. And we didn't have a place to bury her or anything. So we buried her outside, and we did a whole thing out there, and it's beautiful. And we go out there, we light an incense, we light a candle, we put up some plants, orchids, and stuff around it. And if you see it, you wouldn't know what it is, but it's our little space out there.
It's a shrine.
And exactly, yes. And my husband uses it more than me, and but we enjoy it. We love it. The kids love it. I have a little one who is 1, and she will go over there and just sit. So it's beautiful, and it's an exciting journey. So I wanted to just call and say thank you for all of this. So it means a lot to me, to my family, to my husband, to my kids. I know you guys don't get that all the time, so I just wanted to share. So.
Thank
give
you.
Thanks. We appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing.
How many children do you have?
3.
3 children. Okay, cool.
3, yeah.
So you got a nice little setup there. How long you been married?
Legally or legally?
It's the same thing.
Or together.
How long you been
together? Together since we're teenagers. But legally on paper, probably now 4 years. 4 years.
I don't even matter. I don't care about that. But you've been together since teenager.
Yes.
Okay.
Almost 20 years.
So,
almost 20 years.
When you had your first child with your husband, what was the attribute about him that you hoped that the child would have the most?
His patience. His patience. I think that's what and I still pray every day that they get that. All of them.
Okay.
But yes, and he's kind and a good man. But more than anything else, he's very patient. Very, very patient.
Yeah. Cool. Marriage life. See, marriage is the highest science. Family, I tell you guys all the time. You see, this sister just got into it, and you see now. Granted, she has a 1-up, and that's people from the Caribbean. Most already have a natural inborn gift of dreaming. You'll find that many people who are surrounded by bodies of water. So not just Jamaica, but you go to the Bahamas, St. Kitts, Nevis. Trinidad, Tobago, Guyana, you'll find that the gift common there is dreams. All of the old church women always come every Sunday with a dream. You know, Miss Dottie has a dream. Miss Dottie had a dream that such and such and such, was gonna fall off their bike. And then, your father on the way riding his bike to work, he falls. See, Miss Dottie said, it's always like that in the islands. But so, each space holds its own spirit, and each space holds its own gift that it delivers to the world. So one of the things about Jamaica is the dreams. People are like master dreamers, but ultimately, because she has a family, that means she has a husband, she has children, her ashe is automatically increased. Everyone's ashe. So that's why things are happening like that in such a rapid fashion for you, because of that formation of that science that you guys have created. Yeah. Give thanks. Give thanks. Cool. I'm gonna bring another umfundi into umfundi means student in Kiswahili. Bring another umfundi into the mix. Area code 401.
Greetings, Chief. Greetings, Kim. Sister Kim. This is Danetta.
Peace.
Peace, Danetta. How are you?
I'm fine. I wanted to call.
So why you sound so aggressive?
I'm nervous.
Okay. Excuse me. You called me about 15 times and you're nervous. What's that all about?
I don't
okay, well,
I a lot of people hear me and I can't see them.
We can't see you either. Maybe we're nervous.
Okay.
What's happening, Captain?
Okay, all right. So in the sister call, my phone call had dropped, and the sisters was giving me some insight on doing some soul work. And I wanted to acknowledge and say thank you to everybody who was on the call. And
you're welcome.
Even wrestling with, sometimes I can be a little stubborn and don't see it, or let my fear intervene and don't want to do it. But I was going to call in yesterday, but I had to take everything in and be still, and ration out what's been shared with me and what I have to do. And I try to get out of it. When my husband got home, I shared a sister call about the advice you guys gave to me. Mm-hmm. And I said, do you think I should do that? And he said, what did the sisters tell you to do? So I had to laugh a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I told him, I need to talk to her. So
yeah.
I didn't get a chance to talk to her. But I did call her, and she didn't pick up.
Okay.
And then when she did, it was real short. She couldn't talk. So that was about it. I want to say thank you to, you and Sister Tanya and Sister Michelle, and I can't remember all the other sisters' names, even the ones that was leading it. Thank
Karen.
you for hearing me, Karen, hearing me vent and get out all that it's miserable, all that little stuff that you can hold on, and it can drain your week, it can drain you, it can drain your whole day, and helping me, to confront it. That's what it was all about, just confronting and not being passive.
Yeah.
That's about it.
No problem. Are you still going to try to reach out to her again? Or have you given up? Okay.
Oh, no, I haven't gave up. I want to move like a snake a little bit. I don't want to be aggressive. I want to, go in very smooth. I feel like I'm attacking her. But so I'm in my mind, I'm thinking of techniques of how to do it.
Okay.
Your husband's smoother than you. You should ask him.
I did.
He's a smooth, but now ask him like how to do it, because he's smooth. Your husband, he's got a way with words, and he's, he could rock you to sleep. He's got one of them type of energies. He'll put you right to sleep. Ask him. How's he doing?
I did. He's doing fine. He's at work right now.
Okay, cool.
Chief, you make me nervous.
I make everybody nervous. Don't feel no way about it.
You like that uncle that someone don't want to talk to.
That's, how many times, if I had a nickel every time I heard that, I'd have about $1 by now. But that's still significant. I hear that all the time. You remind me of my mean uncle. And I'm sitting here being nice to all y'all, talking to you, listening to your long stories and everything, responding nicely, and that's what I get every time. I've been getting that since I was young. I mean, like middle school. Teachers used to say that. Like, I don't know, wow, just the way why are you looking at me like that? I'm looking at you like everybody else in the class is looking at you. What's the problem? I don't know what's wrong with y'all. I'm the nicest person never met. Don't get quiet.
Cricket. You hear
I was going to hear Sister Kim say something, so I was waiting on her. I was like, I'm going to hit her right on, or...
Y'all
Black
just don't know
power
what
or
nice
something.
is. I got to teach you what
Yeah.
nice is. I'm the new nice. Yeah.
You know what? Sometimes when somebody's so blunt and so honest, it make you get a little nervous to be around them. You know. So I remember one of my great uncles was very blunt, very blunt. His name was Uncle John, and you don't want to tell him too much because you might not want to hear what he really has to say. You know, because you might not be ready for it. So it intimidates you a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I didn't heard it. I've been hearing it all my life. I can't really I can't help it. You know what I mean? Even when I try to be friendly. Sometimes I make my voice like this when I talk, and I take some of the bass out of it. Most of the time, this is how I talk. That's why a lot of times when you hear me in the show, I go from here to here. Because you know what I mean? So I'm sitting there sounding like a robot starting to stop and then we go Foundational Friday, and then we, because people a lot of times have been intimidated by my voice, and they're intimidated by the way I look at them. And I got regular eyes. I ain't got no special Michael Ealy eyes or nothing like that. I got regular eyes. But, y'all just funny style. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all that's about. Y'all funny. Y'all real funny actors.
Can I share one more thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I'm nice.
Okay. Thank you for sharing the mic.
That's what I do.
I just want to encourage any woman who's on the phone. If you haven't joined the sister call, you should join it. I think at first I always heard the term that working within is more magical than working with rituals and all these tools that we use to enhance our closeness to the Creator. And I want to encourage everybody to join, because for me, the conversation I had this morning was real. I mean, last Monday was real. In every aspect, because what was shared with me was something that was shared with me before. I mean, a long time ago. And when I shared with my husband, he was like, "Didn't someone tell you that before?" And I was like, "Yeah, someone did." And for me, is revealing. It's not revealing, but it's really pleasing to know that this is the stuff this is more magical than anything else. Just the work on my character.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it.
That's all you need, Sister Soldier. Character.
Thank you, my
that's
black
all
brother. Thank you.
Right, righteous. Okay. Righteous. All right, we're going to bring in another one to add on to the mix of it all. Yeah. Sister Donetta. Donetta got a strong name, too. I ain't going to say her name on the air or anything. I don't want nobody to Google you, but yeah. Okay, 813 area code. You're on
Alafia.
Alafia Ni.
What does that mean? What does that mean? What does Alafia mean?
Health in Arabic.
What does Alafia mean?
I didn't know that. But I was going to break it down on my understanding of it. It means
it's not a real
solid yes. Is it?
It means a solid what?
A solid yes to me. And it means also, let's say, good Ire. I can't get the words right off my head, but I know it's a good sign and it's a good wishing for.
Yeah, it means good health.
Okay, so that's the best thing right there, right? How's the family doing? How's the family doing, man? Greetings to everybody.
Nah, man, don't try to skip off of the definition. Nah, you done gave that old raggedy definition, and now he's trying to, what you doing, man? Get back here. Where you going? Get back here.
I'm trying to run.
This brother's slick, boy. See, I be telling you, them cats down south, y'all think they slow. They ain't slow. We slick.
They slow. Trying to run. Oh, man.
They say, man, it means yes, and if you break it down from what the Moors, see, the Moors brought it over to Europe first. You know how brothers be doing. They always talk about the Moors when they want to confuse you. The Moors brought it to Europe, And then the Europeans, when they first came in contact with it, they brought it back to the natives. You understand, my brother? And Alafia means hell is not really a greeting, but people started using it. But if you go back home and you say Alafia, ain't nobody really gonna answer you.
But that would have been my next question. Like, how is it the proper way? How is the proper way to greet you, Chief?
Well, to greet an elder, I think it was Dietrich. He said, Abaru, Aboye, Aboshishi. Usually is what we'll say to a spiritual elder. And in saying that, you're basically kind of what you're saying in that is that it's kind of like an admonition and an acknowledgement of the work that the person does. So it's like if you were a mechanic, I might greet you and say, may all of your work that you do be effective and people not come back for refunds. So Abuye, Aboshishi is like saying the things that have been offered, the things that you're doing, the work that you're doing, let it reach the places that it's supposed to reach. So it's kind of like acknowledging the role of that individual in the community and saying, like, keep up the good work, and I hope it stays good. And then typically the response would be Akbo Ato, and that means like, I have strength. I'm strong. Like, I got this. It's strong. The work is strong. I'm good. So, and of course, there's other aspects of it, but that's the basics of it. Alafia is like, we use that in the spiritual community, but it's not technically a greeting. I mean, you might have more people say like Baboni, which is like, how you doing? Or Peleo. Peleo is like, what's up? Or even like, Ikasan, Ikaro, Ikale, but a lot of times there's a difference between what we speak in the temples and the actual language. You know what I'm saying? So the temple language, almost like the Orisha language, especially like the diasporic Orisha language, quote unquote, is much different than like how we would normally speak. Things don't really make sense in the language in the same way, But it's all good. Yeah.
Can I tell you how I was taught? Now, I was taught that it's Ibaru, Iboye, and you would never say Ibosusi at the end.
Right, the Babala.
You would let the Babala respond to that.
Right.
Four fingers on the ground, left hand.
Right.
Four fingers on the ground, left hand.
Yeah, some people teach it that way. Like a lot of Lukumi houses tell you that. If you say Bosishi, they look at you like, what? Like, you just committed a huge
up.
Yeah, man, it's a huge blasphemy. It's no, I say that. Or like, only taking my part. It depends on the
2 bottles of rum and 2 candles at his shrine. Trust me, I messed up a couple times. Right. 2 bottles of rum, 2 candles at the shrine.
Right. Oh, so that's a typical Ile. Like when you make a mistake, you bring in offerings. That's what it usually is. Bring me some rum. You messed up. Bring me some rum. Bring me this. Bring me that. But again, it's dependent. A lot of times in Ilays, they do different things. A lot of times for me, depending on who I'm talking to, if the person doesn't really know, I'll just be like, peace, or greetings, and then build them up to that space because, I don't really like people saying things that they don't understand. And there's a whole movement that comes along with that culture. For instance, when I'm in the room or you see me, you're supposed to go all the way down to the floor and ballet. Now, I don't require that of everyone, but I have had students, like the first time I met Brother Byron, he did that. He knew. And then you wait until I tap your shoulder and tell you to rise, So some people know it, some people don't, but I don't look at it like as a sign of disrespect because we didn't all come up in the same culture. We're all learning. So, just like if you're back home and an elder comes in the room, at the minimal, you're going to get on your knee. At least you're going to take a knee. Now that person could be a straight up Christian bishop or a Muslim imam. So it doesn't really have to do necessarily with Ifa, it's ingrained in the culture more so, so different people gonna kind of do different things, but it's, as long as people are respectful, it's all good,
But those things were like really important for me growing up too, that, because we, there's a certain custom in the islands, period, I'm pretty sure it goes through, is like, you go there, you greet all the elders, then you greet everybody, usually by kissing them on the cheek or whatever. And then we also do that on the leave. You got to make sure you greet, say goodbye, a boom. Like when we walk in, we say fawaka, fawaka to everyone. That means how are you? How's your travels been? There's a lot. It's the Sarantongo, the tongue of our tribes or Suriname. And when you leave a boom, I'm going back in the bush. Really, it's loosely translated, but I'm going back. I'm going home. I'm going safe, and for someone my travel leave. So but those greetings, man. Sometimes those greetings are important. I actually think those greetings are important, and it kind of puts the person where they are rightfully supposed to be, and especially like going into the time. Yes, it's always important. And the conversation that we were having earlier about, or you were having earlier about that mess, is, it just shows the sickness. We don't have that. We don't have that form of respect. Yeah.
Are you up on the new one? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, you know what? The funny thing is, I went through my phone because YouTube did that notification thing. So a lot of the videos I wasn't seeing on my phone. Period. So as soon as last night I went through it. As soon as I seen it, I just seen a whole bunch of mess. That's all it is. Sickness, man. That's one thing I just wanted to say about that, is that, when you're actually in a place of healing, you start seeing other people with sickness. And that's really what it is. It's just a sickness, man. And we sometimes we gotta look past it. Not really look past it. We gotta heal from that, man. It's so many levels and so many layers of a sickness that we all got to heal from that, so we can really build something. That's how I feel. That's where I'm at in my life, and I believe that's a good way to go for everyone. So.
Oh, absolutely, man. That's good guidance, and part of healing from the sickness is, stop trying to put on your little brother's jacket. You got to know when you outgrew something. When it's time to get some new clothes. And sometimes
I see something on the internet about that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Sorry, Chief. I didn't mean to cut you. I just seen something on the internet right now about that. I had this guy standing in how 40-year-olds try to act young, and they have him in 3 different outfits, and he got some water pants. I don't know what you call them. The pants that go up around the knee and they tight. And a pink shirt on. He got a jersey, then he got a Gucci belt on one of them. You know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy, man. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain presence that comes as you age and as you grow. Male and female, and some people, they're just not aware of the privilege and the benefit. Even women. Women are they can be very attractive and everything when they're young and whatnot, but there's a certain different sexiness that kicks in after 30. From 30 to maybe 35, there's a different kind, and it's a kind of sexiness that you're not going to harass them when they're walking down the street the same way you would harass a 22-year-old or the 23-year-old. Now, the 22, 23-year-old, they're attractive. But there's a solid grown woman sexy, and some people, they end up missing and losing that whole phase because they're still trying to hold on to something else. And it's the same thing with the men. I mean, I haven't man watched, but I have heard women speak about it grown and sexy. Certain men, I think Idris Elba is probably a good example of that. Gray in his beard, older man, but women love that guy, and I think part of it is because he's never presented himself as anything less than a man in any film or anything that he's done. I go to Nigeria, I know 20 guys who look just like him. So, it's not like he's some out of this world gorgeousness, but it's just like with Denzel, he always presented himself as a man. So a lot of times people miss that privilege of aging in a certain way and the beauty that comes with growing older gracefully and being able to capitalize and embrace each stage of it. And when you can do that, you grow and your environment grows around you. And when your environment grows around you and the people around you, the things that you do, it just makes more sense all around, all across the board. And that's where a lot of people get tripped up at. So they keep trying to put on the little brother's coat or the little sister's shirt, not understanding that if, I don't fit this anymore because I'm growing. So therefore, the things that I clothe myself in, and I broke this down in the food, clothing, and shelter show, but I don't want to get into it. But, what esoterically what clothing means. Now, that wasn't an inference to my intelligence. I already broke it down, so I'm not lying about it. Just go look up the show. But or a false inference to intelligence. But that clothing of that culture, when your culture grows with you, you take on new culture, you take on new habits. Your habits are, I did a show on habits. Your habits are your garments. Remember, coming from the word haberdashery. So it's the things that you wear. So your habits should grow along with your evolution. And when that happens, man, I mean, you experience a different level of power. But a lot of the conflict and things that you're seeing amongst these folks, they're just guys who never grew up, just kind of stuck in a phase and in a space that they were never really able to enjoy at the level they wanted to. They might have been dorks in high school, and I don't mean nerds, because you got nerds rule the world, so I'm okay with nerds, but they might have been dorks. And they never were really able to get, things in a certain social position like they wanted to. And they're going through their life trying to still slay that dragon. And they won't let it go. So, if you haven't slayed certain dragons by a certain age, let them fly, let them go, And some have not come to that space yet. So they fight for relevancy. They teach the same kind of information over and over again. They've never learned to manifest anything, primarily because they don't have any real women in their lives. They may keep a bunch of low-level consorts around them, but they don't really mess with any powerful women, because powerful women, they demand different things, that they can't supply. So they spend their life just talking. And that starts to make you more emotional, because you're talking on it like Kim said, you on the phone for 3-4 hours. The males call, that ain't even 3-4 hours. We ain't talking that much. And I've only been on 1 or 2 of them, but there ain't that much dialogue going on. But that's one of the aspects of womanhood. There's nothing wrong with that. Women like to talk. They like to express. They like to flush it out. And it's very healthy for them. But you got guys doing that now. YouTube, 6-hour lectures, 5-hour Google Hangouts, just rambling, talking about nothing, and not building anything. So what happens? You start to, internally, there's a sexual confusion that takes place. So now you got this blend of testosterone, but then you have these rising estrogen levels. So you're hyper emotional. Somebody says something to you, think they say something to you, and now you want to plug into your estrogen defense mechanisms, but then you're also going to plug into your male aggressiveness, because you haven't learned how to grow from assertive, from non-assertive to assertive. Aggression is not necessarily a good trait. Assertiveness is. So you want to be able to replace the aggression with assertiveness. And trust me, you could do the same things with assertiveness. Don't worry about it. You could protect your home, being assertive. You could protect your manhood, being assertive. You can go out and take over the world, being assertive. You don't have to give anything up in that sense, but some have not. Sadly enough, they haven't made the leap. They just haven't made the leap. 864, you're on Community.
Greetings, Pedro.
Peace, brother Pedro.
Peace, man. I was just, me, I sit back and listen and enjoy the ride. So, but just what you said on how you say them brothers, can go 5-6 hours trying to give information and stuff. I think they try to, I don't know, I think they think they got the Bobby Hemmett juice or something, man, because But you could tell Bobby had more of a certain type of energy when he did it. Now you can listen to these brothers and it start getting redundant.
Yeah, because they're not really giving information.
Yeah.
I sat in a lecture years ago. It's probably like the early 90s with Dr. Phil Valentine. He went 7 hours. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And was ready for more. It's just that we had to leave where we was at. We couldn't stay any longer. But you know what I'm saying? They start flicking the lights and playing music.
It was juice.
Yeah, but it's like he was giving. It's the difference between rambling for 6 hours or for 7 hours and actually hitting you. See, Bobby always had the stories. He gonna tell you them funny stories and stuff, but that's not the bulk of the presentation. You know what I'm saying? Plus, a lot of Bobby's presentation was getting them slides together because he's doing them slides 5 minutes before the presentation, and that's why they always be on the floor. Be like, all right, hold on, now, let me get this one right here. All right, set that up for me. Yeah, but but he's going straight. He's banging you in the head straight, and keep in mind too, that was at a time when we wasn't really on YouTube like that, so. If they did a lecture, they may have been, you might have traveled somewhere where you're talking to a person, he's coming from Atlanta, might came up to New York or wherever. You might not see these people again for another 8-9 months.
Yeah.
So it's not like with YouTube where it's like, well, I can talk to you every day or Blog Talk or whatever, and you got people talking for 5-6 hours every day. And they're not really talking. They're just taking up your time. They just fill in the space with noise and a lot of unnecessary conjecture that's not really leading to anything, and much of it is really distracting. And now you got people. And a lot of these guys now are fighting over who can be the distraction.
Yeah, and you can tell because I mean. Like I say, man, they ain't. It's just very redundant now, and then a lot of the stuff you can hear everywhere else anyway, and that's just like with Bobby, man. If you go back and even watch Bobby stuff, a lot of his stuff was old, and some of the older stuff was just as solid as the newer stuff. And to me, it's kind of like the brother was. Damn near time traveling, man, because it was like, yo, I used to be on Bobby hard. I ain't gonna lie, man. Bobby had me flamed up for the longest, but I really I ain't gonna lie. He had me juiced up, but it just now, I kind of fell back a little bit from it, but I still watch some every time, from time to time or whatever. But that older stuff, man, it's still slaying all this that these brothers trying to come out with.
Well, what's new? If you really look at
it, exactly. It's not even new. You're right.
You can go to some of our earlier teachers, from Dr. Ben to Dr. Clark, C. Freeman L., George Jackson, Jewel Pookrum. You just go to some of the elders, and you can look at the strings of people who came from under them. Like, you wouldn't have a Runoko Rashidi without Dr. Clark. You wouldn't have a Wayne Chandler without Ivan Van Sertima, because he was Ivan Van Sertima's assistant. So you can kind of see like the lineage falling down in a sense, of who's who, and then you can almost see where the lineage stopped, and then where people just kind of co-opted. Like you look again, if you take Ivan Van Sertima and then you take Wayne Chandler, like you can see, like you probably wouldn't even know that Wayne Chandler came under Ivan Van Sertima unless, like I know, or unless he told you, because he mainly talks about metaphysics. When you read ancient futuristic and stuff, you wouldn't know that he came under this really highly evolved Egyptologist. But he took that information, took it to another level, talking about the Hermetic laws and things like that, the power of sound vibration, which were all Kemetic, ideations and things that were cultivated. And then if you come under Wayne Chandler, it stops. And then anything underneath that is pretty much just copying his information. And it's kind of like the same thing with Amos Wilson. Now, around the time you had Amos Wilson, you had Naeem Akbar doing his thing, but Naeem Akbar can't mess with Amos Wilson. Naeem Akbar is like, that's the light version. That's, and I still, his books are great to get you started. People coming into consciousness for the first time, because they're short. His books are only like, 100 pages, 80 pages. But they, he gives you a lot of good stuff to think about, get started on. But you read Amos Wilson's books and it's like, whoa, it'll change your entire world. But again, you come under that, people who were dealing with psychology, people who were dealing with the mind, a lot of the people who came after that were just copycats. So it's like you almost see the lineages stop. Like I had a brother tell me that when he read my book, Grasping, he said, yeah, that's like the new day. What was the book that Baba Karaday wrote? Fundamentals of Ifa Worship or something like that. I know I'm getting over the title. It's a popular book, but Ifa Karaday, he wrote a book. And he included a lot of different elements. Now, I don't feel my book was that. In fact, I have his book, and no disrespect to him or anything, but I actually never even read it. But I know it's a good book. I just never got around to reading it. I think I even had 2 copies at one point. I gave one away because I skimmed through it one day in a store, in fact. And I was like, oh, okay. He had some E King stuff in there. He had some Bible verses, some Quran. I was like, okay, it's nice. But I never actually read it. But a brother has said that, like, yeah, your book is, like your approach is like that. Now, I don't come from his lineage. I never studied with him, never worked with him. But you could kind of see a line of things almost in a sense. And that line stopped about 15, 20 years ago. Yeah. And most of the stuff that came after has been pretty much regurgitations, for the most part. And I'm not saying that there's nobody out here that can put it down, but a lot of people are still almost in a religious manner citing these older elders as if their word was law. Like, well, Dr. Clark said, Dr. Ben said, and it's like, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. Definitely, pay them high. But they said certain things to motivate us to do certain things and to think in a broader spectrum. You know what I'm saying? Not just repeating them. Yes. So there's been a cutoff in a sense, and it's gonna take a measure of. It's gonna take a combination of respect and a lot of boldness to push past it. For the Mavericks to push past it. For the Mavericks to say, okay, I love my ancestors, I love my elders who laid this stuff down, and now I'm gonna bring them into that new space. Kind of like what Brother Harmon was just talking about with the 40-year-old wearing skinny jeans and stuff like that. I mean, I don't want to say that takes guts, but it does take some level of like trying to relate to a younger generation. It's going to take cats to really go back, get some of that good old information, but utilize some of the new technology, because we got technology that Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark didn't have. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are proclaimed Egyptologists today who've never been to Egypt. And I'm not speaking against that. That's neither here nor there, but definitely you can get a lot more. Again, I came up in an era where you had to go to the museum. I spent a lot of money going to, and I knew all the free days for the museums around New York. Certain days you go in for free during certain times, because I was in the museum so much, like, it was like a straight up monthly bill practically. So I was, certain days I could go on Tuesdays, on certain Thursdays, certain times you can get in for free, but you have to go to the museum, or you have to buy books that had the images that you wanted to see. Now you could just search on Google and look for the images. So it kicks it up to another level now. It kicks it up to another level, but we got to do something more with that new level. Right. We got to do something more. Yeah.
I say, man, what we here to do? And New Nation. turn it up, man. We got to keep it going. Like you say, we ain't even reached the Reese's yet, so
No.
I'm just ready to keep it moving, man.
Yeah. But you know, it really ain't even about the Orishas. Be totally honest with you. You know, it's not about that. I mean, that's a learning point. And of course, there's a lot of older people who hear me say that and they'll think it's blasphemy, but I've said it. I don't know if I've said it on the air. I think somebody said I did once, but I know I didn't say it often. But when I get a lot of 55 plus people, a lot, I'm saying 55 plus giving me big ups for a show or whatever I did, I go back and re-examine that show. Because for me, that's a problem. Okay, so you know, if I'm making a bunch of people, and a certain type of 55 plus, don't get me wrong, everybody's 55 plus, please don't get offended. But the ones who are locked into the religion and what they think are the tradition, when those ones are like, yeah, I really like what you was teaching, and I get a little nervous, and I look and say, okay, wait a minute, what am I doing? Because I'm not trying to retrace steps. I'm really not.
Yeah.
You know, when I get younger people and I got a lot of young people who reach out to me and say, thank you, like I understand it. You know, when the way you explained it, I get it. Then I'll try to move more into that direction because they're the ones who are going to sustain it. Because even all right, who got all that who got all that noise in the background? God damn.
That was me. I had to get my little boy, man.
That's you. All right, we're gonna mute you, brother. Man, like he in the chicken store, they were arguing or something. But yeah, it's the younger cats. It's the younger sisters, the younger warriors who are going to sustain us going forth, because even for those of you who've been doing this 20, 30 years, really ask yourself what you feel like doing now. A lot of things that we may have done in the past or, you know, dreamed about even doing, really ask yourself if you had the energy to even do that at this point. You know, that's why sometimes maybe even ideas of nation building are not so attractive, because how many of you really trying to go clear land in the middle of the woods? You know, and have to dig holes to go to the bathroom. You know, now I don't mind, but you know, a lot of you, I'm sure you're not really interested in doing that. You know, or maybe live someplace where you're 20, 30 miles from the nearest hospital. You know, so, and no one's saying you have to force yourself in that position, but we have whole cadres of young people who they're ready. They don't care. You know, like, let's do it. You know, so, sometimes think about that. When you want things to stay the same at your comfort level and you want things to be taught the same at your comfort level, you know, just think about how sometimes in doing that, you're alienating yourself from the very people who are going to sustain these traditions moving forward. You know, anybody who's on the line, feel free to comment or whatever. I'm just, you know, we still got the lines open. Yes.
I listened to what you're saying. I wanted to give you an update on the workings that's been going on Ile de Obadina.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I work with it.
I took the first step, and you know, I'm playing ball again. So like, I took advantage of that, and I started taking some young fellas to practice with me.
Okay.
And
good.
On the ride home, they like what, 9 or 10 or something. They was like, you know, they called me by my name. They was like, can you get us, you know, this toy? I was like, you know what I want y'all to do? I want y'all to get y'all some gloves, a trash bag, and and a bucket. And I want y'all to go around the community, take your brother with you, because their uncle is like 20. And I was like, take your uncle with you and go and tell people that y'all are young workers for hire looking to generate some income. Is there anything we can do to help you? I was like, I want y'all. I said, I'm not gonna buy you nothing, but I'll take you to the store to get whatever you want with the money that y'all make by cleaning up people's yards, and take your brother with you to make sure they get paid. So that's what I've been working.
Nice.
And then and then like I said, we're gonna try to start a youth outreach program with the team where we we go to like maybe like a junior high, and we get like, well, I was gonna say pen pals. I'm trying to come up with a word better than text buddies, where we set up a system where we go through the teachers and like for the young fellas that's having a hard time, set up a texting group where they can text us and be like, you know, instead of pen pals, we texting. So like whenever before you find yourself gonna do something and get in trouble, just text us and we'll talk. We'll always be on the phone. We on the phone anyway. So that's what we got.
Okay.
That's what we're working on right now.
Okay. How many men do you have involved?
Right now it's just me, but it's me and 3 of the team owners. It's 3 of us now. But I don't know how solid they're gonna be at it. But looking there,
how many women you got involved?
None yet.
You ain't doing nothing. You ain't saying nothing.
Not yet.
You ain't said nothing. You better get one. You better get at least one involved.
I
ain't gonna work without a woman.
All right.
I know.
Well,
get an old one. Listen, man. Get an old one that you're not gonna put your penis inside of. Start there.
All right.
Okay. Cut down on the drama, because you know a lot of times that's where the drama comes. So you get you an older elder who ain't got nothing to do, because you know when them boys really start opening up into you and crying and things like that, you're not gonna be able to handle that. That's what you need mama there for. So you better have a woman there. You know, you're gonna need somebody who, and plus she's gonna go extra mile. Like she might have bought them the toy, you know, or she might at least congratulate them on going out. They may come back for 25 cents or something crazy like that, but she'll encourage them. You know, you'd be like, oh, come on, man, y'all wasn't even trying. You know, so yeah, man, you're gonna need that balance, even if she's not on deck. But just get like, you know, establish like a board, like a pseudo board, you know. So just that you know that you have that feminine presence. She doesn't even have to be active in things, you know, but just let her know, you know, if I get stuck on something, can I call you for advice or something like that? Or, you know, if we decide to do a cookout for the boys, would you help with the food? You know, but you're gonna need that woman on deck, brother. You know, you're gonna need that. And I know this is an initiative for the young warriors. It's a great initiative. It's great. You know, but trust me, gotta have that vagina. I don't care if it's an old gray vagina. You gotta have a vagina nearby, man, or you ain't doing nothing. It's not gonna last, because that's the glue. And you're right, like you said, you don't know how solid the brothers are. Let me tell you something. The brothers are never solid.
Yeah.
men don't care like that. You know what I mean? They get excited, but then they drift off. Yeah, man, you know, I got a lot of things. I'm going to come back to it, man. But, you know, my wife, man, I got a lot of things I need to fix around the house, man. So, you know, just call me when you need me. You know how we do. That old sucker stuff. But the sisters will care more, you know, and they'll bring in other men, too. Well, yeah, let me get my nephew. He ain't doing nothing. He can help y'all, you know. So women are the heart. You know, they bring that caring, they bring that heart, man. They'll make sure that everybody does what they're supposed to. And plus, you always need that shrewd eye. You know, you need that person who is gonna kind of. Women a lot of time have a good ability to stay to the mission. You know, they don't let people like disrespect the mission that much. Yeah.
All right.
You know, but you're doing it. You're doing it. This is elay work. You may not be in a basement somewhere with chicken feathers all over the place and singing and dancing, but you know, this is the priestly work. You know, don't let anybody tell you any different. You serving a minister. Minister means to serve, and you are serving. You're doing it.
Yeah, that's the goal. Like I said, I appreciate that insight, because I didn't think about that, but I know that's something, like I said, I remember we used to have pen pals when I was young, and like it was like the coolest stuff, getting a letter back from your pen pals, you know, especially one who played high school ball or something. So like I said, all these kids got phones nowadays, and like they can text us in the middle of a crisis, like, hey man, I'm at the bus stop. These dudes, they looking like they trying to. What do I need to do? And just hold
right.
That.
You can put that phone in your pocket before it get taken and start running. I can't get there in time, man. You know, it's in the Lord's hand.
Did Jesus take the phone, huh?
Yeah, exactly. You know, Jesus will fix it. So yeah, man. But that's a good idea. Just one thing I'll warn you about too, though. Just when you're working with a young population like that, you always want to put your safeguards, and that's why it's good to have a woman present, especially you being in Atlanta. You know, you don't want to be in a situation, even something as simple as that, as this. With the students that I've worked with, you'll never catch me alone in a room with a closed door with any of my students, ever.
Yeah, that weird, yeah.
Because things happen. Sometimes they might get a certain perception of something that's not really happening, or sometimes they'll want something to happen that's not going to happen, but they can word it however they want. So I always have, like if I have to do a conference or something, I always try to have a woman with me. If not a woman, at least another brother, and at the very least another student. But you got to think about those things, and I know it's kind of horrible to have to think about it when you're helping and you're doing the work. But don't forget, our people are sick. So you will find yourself sometimes in very unreasonable situations. Like, for instance, they may do something wrong. You say, look, man, y'all take the rake and y'all go clean up around the community center. Well, that's corporal punishment. See, that's illegal in most states. Yeah, it's like you hazing them. And it's something as innocent as that. You might say, man, you did such and such, go sweep the walkway or go run some laps or something like that. Something as innocent as that. And in the hands of the wrong person, you never know. There might be a Negro stepfather in there or Uncle Tom grandfather or cousin, and their job is to destroy whatever you build. That's their job. So you always want to kind of think ahead, and you're a Shango, so your specialty is strategy. You're gonna approach it like a general. So you lay out the terrain first and think about all the different things that could happen, could go wrong, and then you put your safeguards in place for that, man. And then you can really kind of, I guess, quote unquote, relax to a degree and just focus on doing the work. Yeah.
All right, put your defense. And I appreciate that. That's like I said, I'm gonna see if I can get that going. Hopefully, if not by the end of the month, by next week. Because like I said, we meet up again Sunday. So I'm gonna present it for everyone. But like I said, worst case scenario, I'm gonna really just end up doing it myself. And like you said, finding a sister that that'll point me in the right direction. Because it's easier to go somewhere to a school with a woman than it is for me. By myself. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Yep. And you make sure whatever functionality, like I would probably use like Google Voice or something like that. So you give them a line that they can text, but one that's easy to archive the text.
Okay, I was just going to ask about that next. I was thinking about getting a pinger number. I was like, that pinger number is odd. But I know for a fact I didn't want to get my personal number, so I was either thinking pinger or something like that. But you said Google Voice?
I would use Google Voice because that way you can automatically forward whatever text is sent to you to another place.
To
so that way,
like this one you're talking about?
Maybe a parent. It depends on the situation because the parent might be crazy, but at least there's a paper trail. Because I'm telling you, I've been working with youth since 91. I started my first youth program. And the youth are never the issue. Youth are easy, man. Because at the end of the day, all you got to do is take them out in the woods. At the end of the day, you can fix anything that goes on with a young person by taking them to the woods and starting a bonfire with them and sitting there and talking. 98% of the things that go wrong in their life, you can fix just by getting them out of their environment, putting them into a natural setting, and putting them in front of the element of fire and have them look into that fire while they're talking to you. They're going to start crying and everything going to come out. And I'm just telling you from experience, that fixes so many different things. even the ones who like because I used to work with the alternative to incarceration programs. So a lot of the young people I used to work with was straight out the pen or about to go into the pen. Very strong, gang affiliated and all that. And yeah, some of them, I can say it now. Some of them, I had to knuckle down. Some of them I used to have to put in chokeholds and hem them up and, step into my office, that type of thing. Come on, you got so much more. All right, come on, let's go. And I had to prove that because for some of them, it's if you can't beat me, shut up. And I was just always fortunate that I never lost. I don't know about now. I'm old now. I probably get my behind handed to me at this point, or one of them young boys. But aside from all that, man, just taking them in the woods, man, that fixes everything. However, so the children are never the problem. The parents. It's the parents and the aunties and the uncles and the miseducated teachers and probation officers. They're the problem. So you're putting really all those safeguards in place, not for the children. You're putting them in place for them. Because those are the ones that are going to, they want to dismantle. And then you're a black man, so they already hate you. So you already dealing with that reality. So yeah, man, you definitely put those things in place, man, and then you can, like I said, you can really relax and enjoy it. And then that'll be more inviting for other people who want to help you and participate when they know that there's kind of a system in place. But yeah, for the texting, you want to set up so that it's all archived. So there's no misunderstandings as to what was said. And, children sometimes they try to play sides too. He told me to go to the concert. I wasn't gonna go. He said, they start playing games like that. Yeah.
All right.
It's complicated.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm glad you're doing it, man. That's good work, man. That's what we've been talking about in the men's group. So you on it. That's good stuff.
Thanks for that.
Yeah,
thanks.
for sure.
My goal, and I was listening. I was thinking in my mind, like, what if I could develop an app of a youth mentoring app where they download the app on the phone and the conversations are on the app. Like, what are your thoughts about that?
You can do that on YouTube. You already got the app. It's called YouTube. Yeah.
All right.
You don't need an app for that. You can create a whole series on YouTube, and if you want, you can make it private, and then just give the links to certain people of the playlist. But nah, you don't want an app. Because then too, it's like if they want to share it, then the other person has to download the app. They may have a friend who might be like, yo, you need to hear this. This is exactly what you're going through right now. And share the YouTube link. The work was already done for you. Use the technology that's in front of you. Don't try to recreate the wheel.
Oh. Okay. All right. Yeah.
But I would even tell you, to be honest with you, I tell you to skip that. Because you have to bring them into a medium and into a way of working with them that's healthier than what they're used to. You see, like, remember, they go to school now and get taught by virtual presentations. So you almost have to step so far outside of their paradigm for them to really see you as something different. You see what I'm saying? So I would come from a different space. You could use the technology. Technology is good with young people for organizing, primarily organizing. You want them all to meet you at a certain place at a certain time, whatever. But after that, to be honest with you, nowadays you got to be in their face, because there's a value to being around sane adults. You got to understand that you're a rarity in the lives of a lot of young people. Not only are you a man, but you're sane and you're conscious. Those things don't really go together anymore. You might have a basketball coach or a football coach that's cool at your school, but he might also be banging your mother. So you tend to lose respect when that type of stuff happens. But to have a conscious, spiritual man and all, they need to be in your presence, man. They need to see how you walk. They need to watch you work out. They need to see how you deal with your son. They need to see how you keep your beard, how you dress, what kind of language you use, When a sister walks by who's real shapely, they need to see what you do. They got to see you, man. You got to model that in real time. I'm telling you. So I would suggest you put your efforts towards creating experiences where you all can link up and get together. You know, that would be a lot more powerful, man. You know, and then you don't have to filter as much, because even if you do counseling through an app, you got to filter heavy, because you don't know who's going to see it. But you know, when you're around them, and I mean, I could say this sometimes can work to your detriment, because it definitely came back to bit me in my behind before. But when you're around them, you can be more honest. You just be careful, because I mean, I've had situations where, in fact, it wasn't that long ago, like maybe 2 years ago, where a young person was really just wilding out during a presentation. I was working with some young people, and I pulled them to another room and was like, yo, you say one more word, I'm going to F you up. And I don't care who you tell. And I said it just like that. I can say it because I don't think nobody's going to hear it. And, but man, it backfired. It backfired real bad. Like he wasn't really built the way he was presenting himself. So he flipped out. Like he started crying, punching walls. And I mean, this wasn't a little kid. I mean, he was like 17, 18 years old. And he was like, he said he was going to F me up. You know? So it was bad. So, you know.
Broken heart. Called him the
man. He saw I was serious, because, you know, he was talking a lot of stuff in front of everybody. He was like, yeah, whatever, man, go ahead. Man, say what you're saying. Keep talking, man. Don't let me stop. You know, he was doing stuff like that. I'm like, yo, come on, man, you got to stop, man. And he was like, I ain't got to stop nothing. Whatever, man, just go ahead. You ain't going to do nothing. I was like, yo, come in this other room over here. Let me talk to you about something. You know, like I was going to have a heart-to-heart big brother talk with him. And I was like, yo, I'm going to F you up, man. I said, I'm going to beat you. I said, oh my God, I'm going to break your jaw. I'm going to knock, I'm running it down to him. I'm going to knock all your bottom teeth out. They're going to be gone. I was like, say one more effing word. I'm cursing at him. I'm spitting in his face while I'm talking. I'm like, and don't even wipe that off. You know, I'm talking to him like that. Yeah, that didn't work out.
In the Dakota Carter treatment.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm old school, man. You know what I mean? So I took it back to the 80s, man, but it didn't work out. He wasn't no 80s kid. So you got to be careful with that, man. You know, you got to be careful with that. But you know, you definitely can get more effective work face to face, man, because it doesn't really matter what you're saying to them. They just want to be around a man. I'm telling you, they just want to be around a man. You know, and you can fix a lot of things, this and that, because then they'll start doing, well, what would Baba Dietrich do? You know, when they're in situations, you know, would Baba Dietrich be at this bus stop at night in an area where I know I got problems with some other guy? Like, would he do that? You know what I'm saying? So you can quell a lot of things just by healthy modeling in that way, you know? Yeah.
I appreciate that, Baba. Good, thanks. I'm gonna get on that. I said I'm gonna get on that early tomorrow. I'm gonna go talk to my partner. They got that ranch. I'm gonna be like, you know, this is what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what you think?
Yeah.
Just give us like 80 yards. Like when we having an issue, and you know, just like that horse therapy. That's serious. Like, just they ain't got to ride. They can just be listen to, like, you know, worst case scenario. If you can't tell me, tell it to this horse. And when you're ready to talk to me, just call me. You know, just tell your problem to him. He'll listen. He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. That's real. And even just getting over the fear of being around an animal that huge, because you know that's when the little boy comes out in them. You know, they act a certain way. When you put them in them woods, that's because I've been there. That's when the little boy come out. Because I'm telling you, I work with some of the worst populations, what they call the worst. You know what I mean? Dudes who've been in jail for murder. You know, kids who been in jail since they was 10. And they just coming out at 19, and I'm getting them literally the day they're coming out on their way to go meet with their PO. And I'm standing there with the PO. You know what I mean? So all they know is jail. You know, so, but trust me, brother, when I used to take them in the woods and I pull out my djembe and I start playing, the little kid come right back out of them. They start dancing and acting goofy, and then I stop, and then they hear a little noise. Well, yo, what's that? What's that? Yo, this bears out here, Baba? Yeah, this bears, man. Yeah, this bear. We just walked past a bear. You know, I'm lying. We just walked past a bear trap. You see that bear trap? That's why I was hoping none of y'all stepped in it. Yeah, but you know, as long as you know, I be telling like if a bear come, you got to just stand up and make yourself appear bigger than them, and they should leave you. You're not making up stuff for real. Yo, you didn't say it was gonna be all. I'm saying nah. That's what you need. Little kid, come back out. Yeah, man, you're gonna have a ball doing that, man. You're gonna have a ball, man. Working with our children. Our children are so beautiful, man. You know, even the rotten ones. You know, they're beautifully rotten. You know, they're all beautiful, man. You're gonna much better than working with these funky adults. You know. Yeah. They crusty and funky. You know, but the children, man, they're beautiful, and like I said, they're gonna sustain this, man. Going forward, they're the ones who are gonna sustain it. Because half the things that I thought I was gonna do when I was 19, 20 years old, I just don't feel like it. You know, all that great flag planting and buying a private African island. I mean, I had some big goals. You know, I ain't in the mood right now. You know, so I just want to smoke good cigars and, you know, play my guitar on the beach and look at booty. All right.
Like, I really appreciate that, Chief, man. Like, you gave me that's my heading now. I think that's an elbow that I'm gonna complete that. I'm gonna take that on as an elbow. So that's doable, and that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, man. But I had one more question, Bob. I
ain't answering no question.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm through.
No, I ain't answering no question, but Anwar's on the line, and you got like 3 other people, and Kim's on the line. Somebody get you. I ain't answering no question.
All right. Well,
yeah, I'm gonna put my cigar back up.
You enjoy that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? I'll let you know, man. I cleaned the house with some cinnamon, frankincense, and cedar wood, and I got this ragtime beat flowing in the background, and I've been just chilling. I've been enjoying. I've been sending out ashe and celebrating to a certain degree. Also flowing with the time, man, and I've enjoyed the conversation. Brothers have spoken some good words today. So, Mojula.
Ashe.
Mojula.
Yeah.
I do got a question for you, Brother Anwar. I'm gonna interrupt all that peace and I want you to think. I need your help.
Pedro's here too, by the way.
Brother Pedro, you too. Need y'all help.
Yeah.
All right.
We building, man.
All right. Cool. This is what I've been doing. I've been doing the 30-day exercise and the grasping the root of divine power, and I've been pulling Odus out of my Anu Obi. And I was asked a question by one of my Hogans. Because I asked him what he asked me, you know, how I was getting the Odus. I said, I'm pulling them out of Anu Obi, Obi Abata. He's like, okay. He's like, so how do you know if it's coming in E-Ray or E-B? I was like, I don't know. I haven't gotten that far. So, like, I cast, to make a long story short, I cast 4 times to get the Odu. How do I know if it's coming in E-Ray or E-B for that day?
See, why you going to ask them a question you know they can't answer?
I can't answer.
He ain't got to that level yet. You had like game for 15
That was dirty. Yeah, that was dirty.
Hey, Chief, he wasn't running for me that time. He was coming right in, right through the hole, man. He tried to find a hole.
Brother Anwar. You know, that's dirty.
I want to take a guess, and it might be totally wrong.
Okay.
I would say if it falls towards the south, so E-Ray.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm done. That was my only guess.
Well,
can't
if
even
you
begin
just
to
cast
give you
it,
a thought to that.
if you just do, there's two things. You can use 9 position to determine the value of the orientation based on how it falls, which is the best way to do it, really, because you skipping steps by casting Odu or Obi anyway. But we'll work with it.
Okay.
But the closer, you could always ask the question:
Okay.
does this come in EB or E-Ray? And the closer the cast falls to your primary Odu, the closer to E-Ray it is.
Okay.
I'm purposely answering the question without being detailed. I'm doing that on purpose.
Yeah.
But I gave you the answer though. That is the full answer. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But I just don't. There's a lot of people listening, and I just don't feel like telling that to everyone. But if you really think about that answer, that's the whole answer right there. I just gave it to you. Yeah.
I said, all right. I'm gonna listen to this again. I'm gonna contemplate that when I do it in the morning.
Yeah. And there's other methods too. I mean, there's several methods to determine the orientation of the cast. I personally don't use any of those methods, but those are the methods that many Babalawo use and which you're taught when you're training. But I came from old school, old warriors, and you used more of your spiritual power. We were trained different. So a lot of the methods now, are like, well, do this, do that, do that, do that. Like even when you give an offering, check and see if it was received, this, that. I wasn't trained that way. I was trained like either you got the juice or you ain't got the juice. You ain't got, if you got to do all them checks, you ain't got it. So, when you're given, and I'm not telling you to do this, but I'm telling you there's another level, so just so you know, there's another level. You're supposed to be able to do certain things when you come into this understanding, and everything is not so textbook where it's like, well, if this happens and it means that, and if that happens and it means that, that's not really how this thing works, to be honest with you. Now, over here in the diaspora, that's how it works because people don't know. So that's why everything is so absolute. Like, well, Eshu is this, Oshun is that, and this is what Oshun eats, this is what Eshu eats. When this Odu comes up, Eshu is it, it's very absolute. And that's really like taking on a more Western paradigm of working with Ifa. We're getting ready to go in the archives, everybody. So if you're on the phone, I suggest you stay on the phone. I know we didn't get a number out once, but 515-605-9862. We go in the archives in like less than a minute. But anyway, the way it really is like you develop your spiritual and your psychic energy to the point where you're going to know the cast before it even lands and what direction it is. And the type of test that I received in my training, which they don't even do anymore, but some of the tests were like do or die tests. Like, and if not do or die, I will say, because I can't reveal to you, like my training, but either do or get really, really sick. Those type of tests. Like, do this right. If you don't do it right, you go into the hospital. Or you might just be found somewhere in another village, like not able to get back home. It was, so the type of test that I received from my training and the type of training was really like, you have to really have it. And if you ain't got it, then you're going to get hurt. So be sure that you really want to do this. Nowadays, people are not trained like that. It's like, they teach you, well, do this, do that, do that, do that, do that. But so much of Ifa, it deals with your ability to see. It's not just when this Odu falls, it means this. Because one Odu can mean 256 different things.
All right.
You know what I mean? Like, people see Oyeku, they get scared. Oh, Oyeku, death. No. Oyeku is short for O Yeye Iku. O Yeye Iku. That's what Oyeku is short for. So Yeye is mother. Iku is death. But more specifically, the meaning of death. Iku doesn't just mean ku is death. Ku. Ku is death. Iku is the science or the meaning of death. O means the spirit of, or the wisdom of, or the knowledge of. So when you say Oyeku, Oyeye Iku, you're saying it's a call. I'm calling for the mothers who understand death. That's what Oyeku means. You see what I'm saying? But if you don't know that, you see it takes a whole different turn now, right?
You're right.
If you don't know that, you thinking it means death. Oh my goodness, Oyeku came up in your reading. We got it now. We got to do all these ebos because you're going to get sick and you're going to die.
Put the F on chalk on your eyelids.
Right, put the F on your chalk because you got to cool things off. And it's like, it could mean that. Don't get me wrong. But you know what? Edgy Ogbe could mean that one day too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's Ifa is so much deeper, man, than how they're teaching here in the diaspora. It's so much deeper. And, you know, again, I'm not trying to knock anybody as far as a teacher or a Babalawo. That's not my thing. I mean, because the bottom line is there's people who know half of what I know, but got more power than I have. You see? With Hammy, if we got into a fight spiritually man, I'd be walking away with the bandage around my head and the crutch and my arm in a sling with the cat playing the flute next to me, you know, and a little drummer playing, you know, waving the white flag. And they know half of what I know. You know what I mean? If you got the juice, you got it. If you don't, you ain't. You don't got it. So, you know, knowledge is very powerful, don't get me wrong, but you know, when you have the knowledge of these things and you really crack them open the way that they're supposed to be cracked open, and you understand the deeper meanings of them, man, you don't have to go through so many steps to figure out what's being said because you develop a different kind of relationship. Just what I just told you just now. Now, we got a bunch of people still on the phone. I know we got people listening from the internet, and we're going to have people going to listen to this tomorrow when we turn it into a YouTube video. As soon as they hear that, it's going to automatically open up vortexes in their mind, calling forth the mothers who know the meaning of death. What? You know what I mean? Now it's going to, well, who the heck are they talking about?
Yeah.
Is it the Iyami? Well, if it was the Iyami, why didn't they say the Iyami? Are there other mothers? You see what I'm saying? So it takes you down a whole nother path, and then you start to see, man, them doggone Nigerians were freaking otherworldly. I don't know where they got these brains from, but they got mega bionic brains. When you start really studying Ifa and what it represents, same thing with the Bantu system. You study the Congolese system and you find out one word has 4 different sides to it. So as somebody's speaking, they say one word, you immediately process the 4 different sides of that word at one time. Come on, man. Like, come on. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's just too much. It's too much, boy. So I'm telling you, man, these systems is infinite, like a combination of numbers, man. You'll never run out of you know, that's why people always like, oh, you on that Orisha stuff. You don't even know what I'm on. The Orisha stuff, like I said, I was on Orisha back in 97. I just teach that to people now. You know what I mean? I was on that 97. When you start really dealing and getting into the sciences, it'll take you so far, so deep down that doggone rabbit hole. You know what I mean? You think that people talking about vortexes opening up. Man, I did a lecture out in Phoenix. last year, and I almost fell inside of a vortex in the lecture hall. And I kept saying, what is this back here behind me? And the woman who actually owned the facility, she knew. She said, oh, my God, you know that there's something there? I said, yeah. I said, I keep feeling like I'm going to fall down. It's just like I'm falling down some steps here. I said, there's something right here in the floor. And she said, yeah, things go missing there. And there's a weird kind of energy there. Like we don't put paintings or anything right there. This, that, and the third. That's Ifa, man. Now, I wouldn't have been able to see that if I didn't know Ifa at the level that I do, you know? So it gets deep, man. You start to see the portals all around you. They're all over. You start moving through the world like Doctor Strange, man. You know? You be jumping from continent to continent. You know what I'm saying? That's Ifa, man. It's a beautiful tradition, man, and it's so deep that it's deeper than Ifa. That's why you'll study other systems and you'll see the vortex. You know what I mean? You study music, you'll see the vortex. You study art, see the vortex, man. Listen to a violin player. You know, I was vibing out recently. A guy I know, I was doing some work with him, some music work. He's a bassoon player. Plays the bassoon. Now, who listens to bassoon music? You know what I'm saying? Unless you go into an orchestra. But I'm listening to the bassoon, and we were doing some recordings and stuff. And man, the places it took me to, because that's not a sound that I'm used to hearing, but I heard it. I'm listening to it, and I'm like, because you know the bassoon is a very ancient instrument. The sax, the modern day sax that we know, like the alto, the baritone, the tenor sax, that only came around the 19th century. So it's a fairly new instrument. The older instrument is like the bassoon, man, which is like connected to the didgeridoo. I might have said it wrong. You know, they play in Australia. Yeah. You know, so there's so much out here, man, that will take you down the rabbit hole. And just that one word that I just taught you, that's been sitting in front of your face all this time. How many times have you seen the word Oyeko?
Exactly. And it was funny.
Yeah.
Can I tell y'all what happened to me today?
Sure.
I don't want to take up too much time, but I did that this morning. I cast my obi. The first one I got. What I do first is I do what's in grasping the root of divine power. So I cast my first one. It was Ijere. So the way it lined up, the way I divined it as Irosum Meji. I got that twice. So it's okay. Irosum Meji. That's one of my Odus. That's the second half of one of my Odus. And then the second one I got was a Warren Oyeku, yeah. And I looked at the Irosum coming in EB because, you know, Irosum and Warren are the first Ibeji. So I said I look at that as coming in EB because they balance out, because they even up, you know, when you actually put them together. So that's how I had figured out. So Ijere and Irosum Meji and Owarren Oyeku, those are all my Odus, like in a row. Just not in that order, but those are all my Odus. So like I base if that head Odu is coming in E-Ray or EB off of the one that I cast next. So like if it conflicts with it, it's EB. But if it complements it or balances it out, I look at it as E-Ray. So I was just trying to see like if there was any other way that you could do it, because that's how I divined it at first. So I figured it was an EB, not EB, E-Ray, because what happened is my day started off great. It was beautiful, but at the end of the day it got rocky, and then I had to handle it more intelligently than I would have handled it in the past. I know Irosum talks about maturity, forgiveness, and coming into light, dark from light. So in Iwori is going from dark to light. So like the day was gonna be okay. You're gonna have a challenge, but the only way you have to set code for that. Like you have to move forward by looking backwards. So I just looked at it. Okay, for me, my Ori is telling me that's in E-Ray. it's all erased if you look at it properly, because it's just two sides to everything. I guess it's your mind. But no, all my Odus are about how you look at stuff, and all of it goes back to having them strong ancestral ties and looking behind you to go forward, but without having that double head of Warren and staying looking behind you, and you trip over something in your path for your future. So like, that's how I figured it was erased. But I just wanted to get y'all opinion. What y'all thought about it?
Oh, well, everything you just said was wrong. That was all off.
Okay.
But keep working with it. Keep working with it, because sometimes you can make wrong stuff right stuff. But no, that's not how you read those Odus. No. And that's not how you determine if it's E-Ray, EB. However, you ain't really casting E5 anyway, because you ain't no E5 priest. So
I'm trying to learn Odu.
Right. What I'm saying is that, check what I'm saying. Yeah. You're doing something different anyway. So you might come up with something else. You see what I'm saying? So keep doing it. Now, I know a lot of people tell you to stop because you open up the old dudes, you don't know what you open up. But I know you ain't really opening up no old dudes anyway. It's just like, but you're learning something. It's just like if I put some playing cards in front of you and say, hey, divine with these. You may not know how to divine with playing cards, but I bet you if I leave you there long enough, you're going to develop a system that works for you.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, but I'm just letting you know, in the larger sense, that was off. But in a much larger sense, which is your own world perspective, you're going because each Odu is going to speak to each person differently. And again, that's one of the ways I was taught and trained. You know, it's not cookie cutter. You know, so certain Odus will mean certain things for you every time. You'll develop a certain relationship with Odus. Like I tell you, when I first started casting Meridin Logun, the only Odu that I really had memorized was Obara, right? So I never forget the first time I really cast Odu, my instructor just threw me in the deep end, man. I didn't even have my Dilagoon set. We were doing some work for, I'm apprenticing. We're doing some work for some people, and he was like, all right, cool. See them sisters over there? It was like 7 sisters. He was like, go do their readings for him with the Meridin Logun. And I whispered because I didn't want to blow up the spot. I was like, Baba, I don't have them memorized yet. And I said, I don't even have my shells on me because I don't know how to use them. So I practice them at home. He said, oh, take my shells. So he gives me his shells, and they wasn't even all shells. Some of them were shells, some of them were pieces of brass, and some of them were pieces of bone. So I'm like, what is this? Like we doing Sangoma work? We throwing bones as the hoodoo? Like he's like, oh yeah. Don't worry, you can still use those though. Like that's how I do it. Now see, that's how he worked it. So he just threw me in front of these sisters, and I'm waiting for the compassion. I'm waiting for because he calls me Haru. I'm waiting for him to say like, Haru, okay, listen, just And he was like, all right, you got that. And sure enough, the first Odu I threw was Obara. And I was like, okay, I know Obara. And I gave the sister the reading. And this was like one of the first times too I actually did E5-based readings outside of he and I, you know what I mean? And that was really just we didn't do Meridin Logun. And I did the reading, and it was like spot on. Not even like spot on. It was spot on. And then, but I had like 6 more sisters to go. And I'm like, I'm not going to keep getting Obara. But I tell you, I got Obara like 2-3 more times. But then I was getting other Odus. I didn't even know what they were. But the thing is, I'm looking in, and I'm sitting there just staring. I'm scrying, and the Odu was coming out. It was just like, like on a pop, like a cartoon, it just pops up in front of your face. The Odus were just popping in front of my face. Like, this is what it is. Then I'm sharing with the sister, and I'm going to tell you how serious it gets in this. That's why I get down on y'all so hard the way I do. I'm going to show you how right now. I remember this sister's face like it was yesterday. This was many years ago. She sat down in front of me. We were on the floor. I went to do her reading. Real attractive sister too, older sister, but real good looking. You could tell she was like the belle of her crew. Like they all had their whites on, but she had the white. She had on like more makeup than was necessary and stuff. Like she was the diva of the crew. So I do the reading, and I said to her just like this. I said, after I saw everything just spoke. Boom, boom, boom. Now, mind you, I'm throwing bones, brass pieces, and cowrie, and only really know, like one Odu at that time. And I looked at it. I saw exactly what it said to me. I saw everything. I said, listen, stop telling yourself you'd be better off. You'd be better off dead. Stop wishing for death. This woman started bawling like a 5-year-old. And she said, I tell myself that every night before I go to sleep. I don't want to wake up. It would just be better if I was dead. Then I started going into it. You see, because I had a relation, even though I didn't know the Odu really like that, but I had a relationship with my Baba at the time, and he was breaking things down to me, like just in terms of the culture, and so so now I got a different kind of relationship with Olokun. Well, where'd those cowrie shells come from? The ocean. So Olokun would like hook me up, was like, don't worry, boy, I know you don't know these old dudes, but don't worry, I got you, man. I got you. I'm gonna tell you what's what. So I started breaking it down. I'm saying boom, 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 boom. I'm showing her this, showing her that, and I was like, yo, and stop toying with Ogun like that. Stop splitting into yourself. So she lifts up her skirt, like because she had on all whites. She was a cutter. She had all these cut marks up and down her leg. She was like, yeah, I cut. She said, nobody know. She said, even my friends don't know about it. And I said, don't worry. I said, I'm going to forget by the time we leave anyway, so I don't even know about it. And, of course, I remember it. But, I just said that to put her at ease. Put her at ease. Sometimes you got to lie a little bit when you do a reading. You learn the psychology. I was like, oh, don't worry. I said, I'm not going to remember none of this. I don't even feel embarrassed. And I can share all this because this was years ago. Y'all would never be able to make the connection and, all that. But, and that sister is no longer, she wasn't even my student or anything. She was actually just visiting because she found out some priests, some Awo were going to be in town, and she came through with a friend. But, so I'm just saying, was I casting Meriden Logun? No. Nah. But I was doing something. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying the same thing with you. Are you casting Ifa? No, because you don't know Ifa. But you're doing something. So keep doing it. And you'll start to develop it. So when you really start to learn Ifa, that's when you'll have a tighter connection and like more information will be filled out and everything for you. So I encourage you, man, just keep it up, but don't say anything in definites and absolutes like you've been doing. Don't do that. Don't block yourself like that, because ultimately it's your relationship with the force more so than it's your book knowledge on this means that means that. Now, as you saying, yeah, Pedro, y'all jokers got to study, man. All right, so don't use that as a. Cause I felt some energy in that year, but that year was like, I'm throwing all these books out. Yeah. No, you got to study, man. You still got to study. You know what I'm saying? I studied. I was always studying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still study. To this day, I still study. So you still got to study. You know what I mean? So don't think that you can get out of that. But it's a combination of the two of them. That's the male and the female that's got to be active in you. And that in those sessions with them sisters, I was all woman. I know that sounds funny, but I couldn't tap into my logical side, my male side, because I didn't have it. I didn't know what these Odu meant. So I had to go all with the spirit. You see, now the male side came in where I'm reinterpreting it and showing it to them logically how they should be posturing and positioning themselves. But I had to receive and accept the images that came to me and not try to rationalize, no, that's not what it means. I can't tell this woman that she's suicidal. You know, if I say that, she gonna look at me like I'm crazy. I have to trust that. No, that's what it is. You know, and that my relationship with my Egun and these energies is real. You know, and if I'm tapped in, I'm gonna get some real information, man. But you still gotta study. Still study.
Right. That was killing me, man. Because I be reading them, and I'm not gonna lie, like, you know, anybody, I suggest anybody stick with the honor spiritual training, because in order to even read an Odu, you have to have your African mind. Because to me, if you don't have your African mind, it just sounds like it's skipping around. Because 1 minute they praising Odus, and the Odu praying, the Orisha praising the praisers, and the praisers praising the Orisha. Then the snail went and talked to the snake. Now the snake is in the calabash, and the calabash done walk to another town, and they say the name of some town, and you can't Google it because the Google don't even know what it is. So, like, I'm trying to get my African mind back to even read the Odu, to even get my own interpretation of it, because that's what I have been trying. But I've mainly been just trying to figure out the Odu based off of how it looks when you mark it. You know, because like when I tried to read, I'm like, man, what am I reading?
That's some of it too. That's a part of it too. You know, but everybody marks different. My brothers in Benin, when I work with them, they deal with the Fa. They don't mark lines; they mark dots. That's a different vibe. And they position the Opwele when they cast. They even hold it differently, and they throw it in a different direction, literally the opposite direction than how we throw it in Ifa. So, and even though Fa and Ifa, it's like the same thing, but it's kind of different. So you're gonna pick up a lot of different things, different ways. But I'll just say this to you: you're in Atlanta, right, Dietrich?
Yeah.
And you're learning, and you're gonna learn how to read Odu, correct?
Fine, yes.
All right, so then we don't really need to learn how to read no Odu. If whoever lives in Atlanta, Dietrich's down there. I'm trying to show y'all something about community. Everybody don't need to do the same thing. For those of y'all like, man, I don't feel like doing all that studying, or they struggling with it, do something else, man. If you got a Babalawo in town, you only need one. If he know the Odu, that's who you go to. That's why we support our priests, so that they can focus on doing that one thing. And then somebody else go do something else. Somebody got to play the bata drum. You know, that's a whole nother priesthood. People think them bata drum is like, you know, they just jamming, like they church musicians. That's a whole nother priesthood. You got to feed your drum. You get initiated to, it's a whole nother thing. We need bata drummers. Dancers. We need dancers. You know what I'm saying? And then you need the balogoons. You need the war chiefs. We know that. You know? So, you know what I mean? That's when you start to come together like a real community in a unit. You start to look at, well, this one's doing this, then I don't need, why do you think I'm teaching all of y'all Ifa? I'm considered to be a very competent Awo, but in my opinion, there's things I do better that I don't really meet men who can do it. So I'd rather go do those things and then let somebody else do these things. See, that's a community. I don't need to be the Baba of the community. I don't care nothing about that. You know, I just want to see the community. I don't care what part. You know, I might sweep floors better than the rest of y'all. We need clean floors. If we don't have clean floors, the baby's going to get sick because the babies is on the floors. Right. You know what I mean? So that's an honored position. I clean the floors. I'm cool with that. Plus, I ain't got to hear all y'all drama. I can put my headphones in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Put my headphones in and listen to my destructive hardcore hip hop that I know I shouldn't be listening to, but I'm just addicted to it. And let y'all go do all that deep stuff, man. I ain't gonna be wrestling no doggone goats to the floor and all that stuff, and you know, getting rooster crap all over me. And y'all can have it, man. You know, them pigeons with all them doggone fleas on them. Y'all do that. I'll do something else. You know, I could do security on the beach. You know what I'm saying? And y'all be looking at me shaking your head like, man, I remember when that brother, that brother was a powerful teacher. Now he just watch him booty. Man, Baba fell off. I'll be like, yep, whatever, say what you want. Yeah, man.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
What Pop say? Chilling.
Chilling, right? Exactly. Chilling like a mug. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what community is, man. Everybody has their focus and their concentration. So as y'all are listening, keep that in mind, man. Some of this stuff that I'm talking about may sound like so complex to you where it almost turns you off. That's okay. Don't feel bad. Everybody doesn't have to do this. Me, I'm an engineer. I like breaking things and putting them back together. I always did that with my toys. My mother used to get so upset with me. I would always you give me something, that thing, within 15 minutes, it's apart. And I had a drafting table in my room as a child, like a big, giant drafting table. You know what I mean? My pops didn't have nowhere to put it, so, put it in my room. Like I'm really going to use that. But I used to use it to do electronic projects. I was deep in electronics as a kid. So I was always into taking resistors out and trying to make something faster or just figuring out how things work. All my friends wasn't interested in that. You know what I'm saying? Some just wanted to ride bikes and play football. So we all have a different thing that excites us and turns us on. And this might not be the part that turns you on. It may not be the part that excites you. You might hear brother, like there's a brother, I'm gonna put him out there, Jeremiah. I'm gonna put him out there, man. Jeremiah is heavy into sports. He wants to get a program started, a sports program for the young people where he could teach these concepts through competition and strategy. I think that's a beautiful idea. I've been working with him on that. I have never once, well, maybe I have, I don't remember, but I don't think I've ever once talked to him about learning EFI or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like we talk about EFI, we talk about Orisha, stuff like that, but I'm hot on that sports program, on that competition. I'm hot on that. So this is community, man. You're going to have things that are going to really call to your soul. And those are the things that you're going to want to get deep into. And for other stuff, go to your locally appointed priest. Let him do it for you. That's what he's there for. But I teach these things. I knew spiritual training, as hard as y'all think it is actually more basic than you might realize. You're going to find out maybe 20 years from now when you really grow into the Africans that you were born to be. I knew spiritual training put you back into your right mind. That's why it feels so complicated, because we're so crazy. That's why. Okay, but this ain't about everybody being some big time priest and TV evangelist. It's not about that. Like I said, some people got to sweep the floor. Some people got to make the food. Some people got to make the clothes. Some of y'all got to learn about cob building and earth bag building and straw bale. Some of y'all got to learn how to do that. Some of y'all got to learn how to run solar systems. Some of y'all got to learn about HVAC systems, because them elders can't be sitting in all that heat. So you're gonna have to learn how to construct and maintenance the air conditioners. Some of y'all gonna have to learn about cobbling, learn how to make shoes. We need shoes too. And if things really hit the fan and there's an economic collapse, I hope some of y'all know how to fly some airplanes, or navigate some boats. I have my boat endorsement on my license. So just to give you an idea of all the different things that I study, it would shock you. You probably think, well, what's that got to do with one thing? Yeah, it's all related. Something pop off. My family, we on it. We out. And I have no problem. I'm good at hot wiring and stuff. I learned that when I was much younger. You got a family come out, Dad, that's our boat. Yeah. Those niggas Yeah, we saw it. We saw the writing on the wall. We out. You know, so it's probably Pedro again. So there's a lot of things to learn. I'm just saying that. We're way over, so I'm gonna close it down. And you know, I hijacked tonight's show, and I know when I do these shows, I mess up the whole spirit of them. But I'm gonna give it back to Kim and let you close out.
Oh, now I can come back. I feel like I'm the only female in the barbershop or something.
All right, well then I'll close out, smarty pants. So listen, I don't know. Yeah, I put myself out there and know how to close it out. Thank you everyone for listening. We got any announcements? The challenge, the Our New Spiritual Training Challenge. Do that. Yeah, do that. And that's for our new students, by the way. If you're not a student, don't try to sneak in. We got technology to flag y'all who ain't really student. You ain't getting in if you're not a student. You know, SaduluHouse.com/AST1 and the word challenge. SaduluHouse.com/AST1 and the word challenge. So get in on that. What else? What else, Kim?
That's about it.
Hey,
Now she
what's
Shiesty. What's that, bro?
Is New Orleans
Oh, you know about that?
Yeah, New Orleans
Yeah.
is pretty bad. It's bad.
I thought about that too, but they should be back in place by June. They're used to that type of stuff. But yeah, actually, New Orleans is leading the polls. Sister Ty is not too happy about that because she was pushing for North Carolina. I think she was calling her non-believer friends to put their vote in. You know what I mean? Because like when I first put the poll up, she was the first one I told. I was like, yeah, it's up there. And we got a flood of North Carolina people. I was like, where are these people coming from? I was like, that's your friends. You know, they ain't even in I knew. You know, and then it evened out. So yeah, New Orleans is still leading the polls, but we'll make a determination soon on if we're really going to do it in New Orleans. I'm pushing for New Orleans. But Taya had expressed some concerns, and Taya talk about community. That's what she does. She's an organizer. That's what she does for a living. She does event planning, organizing, and business management. So I'm going with Spirit. New Orleans is what I'm feeling. Yeah, we need to do New Orleans. But she had brought up some logistics that I wasn't as aware of because that's not my forte. And that's where she has an intelligence there that I don't. So I respect the value of the community and what each person does. You know, so we'll determine where it's going to be. But I'm hoping we can make New Orleans happen. Yeah. All right, everyone. So we're going to
Atlanta now.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want? Well, I think there's one vote for Atlanta. That must have been you. Yeah. Yeah. You ain't had no backup. You better get them little boys to come there and put their votes in.
Hey, gotta be careful with that, though. My goodness.
Yeah, I'm not a huge. I know Atlanta's supposed to be the Mecca and everything, but honestly, I'm not a huge Atlanta fan. I've been there a bunch of times, and every time I'm there, I try to sell myself on Atlanta, you know, and I just don't. I don't feel it. I can feel the oppressive energy of Atlanta. I can feel the sludge when I go there, and there's a lot to work through when you're there. You know, and it's not to knock it or anything like that, because Atlanta is much better than a lot of places up north. You know, don't get me wrong, especially in terms of energy. In terms of energy, up here is horrible. You don't start to really be able to breathe till you really hit North Carolina, till you pass Virginia. It starts, then you can like relax a little bit. But once you get past that Virginia line, you feel oppression. You feel the beast on you. So up here, as far as energy, you know, Atlanta's energy is better, but New Orleans in particular, Louisiana, because New Orleans, the French quarters, I don't like that much myself, because the first time I was there, I saw people walking around with shackles around their neck, steel shackles, iron shackles, I'm sorry, plain as day. So the spirits of our Egun there that were enslaved, the spirits are so doggone high that I see them like I'm seeing cars and light poles. So I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling this, you know. And it's only really in the French quarters. Outside of that is great, but the French quarters, I know exactly where the slave halls were, where the auction, but everything. I see them, you know. So New Orleans gave me a little bit of problems, but you know, it's hard to go to any state in America and not get that feeling. We got places in New York. We got the African burial grounds up here. You go to Yonkers, Getty Square. Getty Square was was an auction site. In Hackensack, New Jersey, Jersey City also, Journal Square was an auction site. You know, so you can't really get away from it. You know, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. All right, everyone. So we're gonna get off the phone. I know it's late and you all want to do what you do at night, you know. But thank you for riding with us. You know, everyone who was on the line, especially the sisters who called in. You know, thank you for calling in and sharing with us, man. That was real cool. All of you who called in and shared, thank you. And you know, before we get off, I'm gonna give a big up. And I told myself I'm not gonna acknowledge people anymore. But I'm going to acknowledge one, Sister Gloria. You guys might remember her. Everybody thought I used to beat up on Gloria, but I did. We had a nice little Twitter exchange and she made it public. That's why I'm mentioning it. She asked me a question that she didn't thoroughly research herself, and I ignored her. And then I guess she kind of caught herself, and she sent me a message and said, you know, I'm listening to one of your shows, and you know, I realized I should have, you know, I'm getting what I needed from the show. And I just responded and said, I wasn't going to answer you anyway. You have to give to get. So, and she put a posting on Twitter where she did say, you know, I'm learning, you know, I had a vending machine mentality and I was wrong. I have to give to get. So I'm just giving her a big up, you know, because that's growth. That's a lot of growth, you know, to not only be able to catch yourself, but also to receive that correction and change your course. So that happened this dawning, actually. It was this dawning. So I'm a big up Gloria. For those of you who remember Gloria, she used to call in a lot. She's still down. She's still studying, still commenting. And in fact, she even checked someone recently on one of the posts on the Facebook page. I think it was on my page or the Sadulu House. One of them, somebody said something a little funny, and she checked them. So, you know, she's still around. But yeah. All right. So everyone, enjoy your evening. You know, definitely rest peacefully. You know, ask your ancestors to come and, you know, just hold you through the night. You know, it's a nice way to sleep. And you'll sleep very peacefully. Just let them hold you and just hold you while you sleep. Okay? And with that, I'll say in the words of our Yoruba nighttime salutation, I'll say Odaro, which means good night. Odaro.
Peace.